So, Democratic member of Congress Khanna is getting a ton of attention, all right? He just left California, left America, went to the West Bank, went to see a Palestinian village. Very unusual. Mostly when politicians are going, they go to Israel, and it's kind of like this kind of vetting of their bona fides. Look, I go abroad, I go to Israel, they're our big ally. Not Roe. He also said something very controversial happened when he went there, that he was detained. Now, there is pushback from the administration about that, and everyone is talking about it. I got in contact with Roe and said, I want to talk to you about it. And he said yes, as he almost always does, and Khanna joins us now. There he is. Congressman, I'm glad you're back safe. It's good to have you. Thank you for taking the opportunity.
Thank you, Chris, for having me on.
All right, now, don't make me go full Tim Russert on you. Are you intending to run for president of the United States?
I've said that I am seriously considering it. I believe I have the best economic vision for how we revitalize parts of our country that are stagnating in an AI world, in a modern economy. I grew up in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. I saw steel mills shut down, Fairless Works, and now I represent the wealthiest district in the world, $20 trillion, and I want economic success for every American. And I also believe I have a moral clarity on foreign policy. But as you know, Chris, your father considered a run for president. It's a family decision. After the midterms, I'm going to have that conversation and make a final decision.
Okay, I look forward to it. Why go to the West Bank?
I've been to Israel 3 times. I went with Project Interchange of the AJC before I was in Congress. I went with Speaker Pelosi, where we met Prime Minister Bennett, and went to Ramallah, met President Abbas. And I went with the House Armed Services Committee, where we met Prime Minister Netanyahu and others. I had never seen the West Bank from the eyes of Palestinians. And so I said I wanted to actually see what the occupation was like from the Palestinian perspective. And really, that is what has created such uproar and anger and controversy. Of course, we informed the Israeli embassy. In fact, one of the funny things, Chris, briefly, is while I was being escorted out of Ben Gurion in Tel Aviv, the airport, because the Israeli government was helpful, knowing a member of Congress was there. Someone who didn't like my politics on Israel was yelling, "Why are you giving him treatment as a VIP congressional visitor?" So the Israeli embassy not only knew, they escorted me through their airport. And I informed the American embassy. But what I did not do is coordinate my itinerary. I wanted to see Palestine from a lens of Palestinians.
And you wanted to look at it through the lens. The settlements, very controversial, arguably illegal, a huge sore spot in the region, and a weak spot for Israel in terms of defending its occupation. And of course, nowhere near as severe the oppression and deprivation of what's happening in Gaza. But what did you see there, and what happened?
Well, first, what I saw are checkpoints where there were 2 different license plates, one if you were Palestinian, another if you were Israeli. The Palestinians got 50 liters of water a day, whereas the Israeli settlers got 400 liters. This in towns like Beit Sahor, which is majority Christian, where you have the Shepherd's Fields, where Jesus Christ's birth was announced. And they actually there wanted to stage a Passion of Christ play, but they can't because illegal settlements are coming up. I saw stories of Palestinians having their homes terrorized by violent illegal settlers, villages destroyed like Zanuda, where I was, and no consequence for these extreme settlers. Now, what happened to me, and I want to try to be factual because I hope the story is much more about the Palestinians I met than me, but we were at Zanuda village. This is a place that members of Congress have gone before, 3 months before. The IDF now has said that it was not a closed military zone. That's been reported. The extremist settlers destroyed that village, and we were videotaping it, recording it. Then there were extremist settlers who came, one brandishing an M4, and there's a new photo of it, actually, that we're going to be putting out tonight. And they parked their car right in front of our van in a single row, not letting us leave. Now, I have never said that they threatened or pointed a gun at us. They brandished the guns. They walked around the van. I never thought they were going to shoot at us, but they prevented us from leaving that road. We could not leave. If someone comes up, you're trying to leave your driveway and someone parks right outside your driveway and has guns around you, I suppose you could swerve around them, but you probably won't want to risk getting shot. I call that detainment. I call that false imprisonment. And they did this for 20 minutes, even though we had our security person talk to them and say we're Americans. They didn't care. Then the IDF comes, and the IDF refuses to clear them. They park as well, not letting us through. We contacted David Brownstein at the American Embassy. He was phenomenal. The deputy chief of mission, I believe that's why no one got hurt. He contacted senior Israelis. They contacted the police. When the police came 75 minutes in, it was cleared. I have not said that the Israeli government was trying to detain Americans. I don't believe they had no idea it was me. I don't think this was some plot by the Netanyahu or Israeli government. But what I have said is they've got extremist settlers who detained Americans who went rogue. And the IDF, they've got rogue soldiers who didn't give us passage. And this is not just my account. This was reported by the New York Times after they interviewed the New York Times photographer with us, the security guard with us, and 2 American Jews with us, and an Israeli with us.
One last thing, Ro, and I appreciate your account. And in my checking of reading the reporting, I don't think you're making it up, and I don't think you're taking it out of context. However, it is an interesting statement. The oppression there is real. The problem there, the occupation, I shouldn't say oppression, the occupation is the term, is real, and it is arguably illegal. Are you flagging that if you were to run for president, you would make what's happening there a focus of your campaign? Or are you going to be Fix America First?
Fix America First. I would be about what happened to places like Lower Bucks County and how do we have economic jobs there? How do we have the renewal of places like Lordstown, Ohio and Downriver, Michigan? How do we create economic opportunity in a 21st century? I call it a new economic patriotism. And that would be my focus. And if I were to run and if I were to become president, morning, afternoon, and evening, I'd be focused on the economic success of Americans. But I do believe we need a more moral foreign policy consistent with our ideals, and that means a secure Israel as a Jewish democratic state with equal rights, and it means recognizing a Palestinian state and getting rid of these extreme settlements and working on peace. And that has been my view. Now, it's interesting that I went on a podcast this morning with Jeremy Cahill, where I got criticized from the far left because I was unwilling to say that Palestinians should be using arms against Israelis. And I said Hamas is a terrorist organization. So one of the Israeli journalists who had criticized me is saying I was exaggerating this detention actually today says, wow, Khanna actually sounds fairly reasonable. I just hope people would look at the facts. And I'm not exaggerating this. What I said is Palestinians face far worse. What I was hoping the Israeli government would say is simply, this shouldn't have happened to Khanna. We will take care of these extremist settlers. This isn't who we are, and shouldn't have happened to American passport holders. Instead of going through all their rigmarole, that's what surprised me.
Well, Ro, I appreciate you coming on to explain it. I'm glad you're back safe. I think it's important that you saw it firsthand and had that experience, and I look forward to what you decide next, and you're always welcome here to have the conversation.
Well, you're always fair, Chris, and I always appreciate the platform and opportunity. You got a lot of fans in California, which has surprised me.
Surprises me.
Straight, but you got a lot of fans in California, in Los Angeles in
Surprises me. All I get is hate. What you experienced in the West Bank, I experience everywhere I go. Ro Khanna, take care of yourself.
Take care.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.